Good morning, Arizona. I'm Jodi Applegate. Thanks for tuning in today.
Hi there, I'm Royal Norman. We're up at Sun City West this morning. We're about to do an event that Dan Davis and I have failed miserably at, synchronized swimming. Join us. Good morning, Arizona.
I'm Scott Passmore. Another storm is about to pound the Northwest. Good morning, Arizona.
Oh, there's some familiar faces. Oh, there's Vioka. Hard to imagine, but it has been 25 years since Good Morning Arizona first launched. That was in August of 1994. And of course, one of the people still around here, the one and only Royal Norman. Good memories, aren't they?
Yeah, great memories. Yeah, it was a fantastically fun and interesting show. And guess what surprise we have for you today?
Oh, I can't wait.
On the phone, our friend Jodi Applegate in New York City. How you doing, Jodi?
Jodi, how are you?
And she's not there.
Jodi, you there?
Music has the power to take you back to, in some cases, your childhood. It was probably my childhood in a lot of ways 25 years ago, but that brings back so many memories of such great times that I had in the Valley. It's so good to talk to you guys.
Well, Jodi, you kicked off Good Morning Arizona. I remember I wasn't on the show until 6 months later, but I remember watching the show. And you guys, when you first began, you didn't even have a real set, did you?
We literally didn't, and it was kind of a stealth launch that they did with the show. And I honestly, as the host, didn't even know it was happening until a couple of weeks before because they wanted to surprise viewers with this. And the set was not ready, but the management, to their credit, thought, you know what? Let's just lean into that. So we were in a construction zone. I wore a hard hat, literally. We had like that yellow tape. There were like sawhorses and things all around, and we turned a vice into a virtue and really had a scrappy attitude. And I think that's what people really responded to about the show in general at the beginning and ever since, is that it had a real local, homemade quality in the best sense of the word, not some canned program from Washington or New York or anywhere else. Really something that was by the people in Arizona, for the people in Arizona, and I have such wonderful memories, and I miss you guys.
We had Dan Davis, too. My goodness, how could you miss with that, right? Jodi, the thing...
I actually saw Dan recently because he came out here for an event or something, so I got together with him and his wife not too long ago, so I do like to stay in touch. And I see Tara Hitchcock sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're both on. Dan was here yesterday. He'll be on later this week.
Oh, okay. That's very cool. The thing I remember, though, Jodi, really, you're right. I think we were just a bunch of kids trying to figure out what to do in the morning to make people be entertained or, whatever. We had no clue. But the glue to all of that was Jodi, because she was and still is, the smartest, brightest, funniest person in the world that I know. And I'm probably understating that, Jodi, but we all sort of looked to you to throw you lines, and we knew if we were dying, Jodi would save us.
Well, thank you for those kind words, but really, I saw my role, and the bosses at the time, when they were like, okay, we got some costumes in the barn, we're going to put on a show here. Jodi, you're the traffic cop. You basically are, because most morning shows around the country have two anchors at a desk, and then they have various other people who participate, but the standard template is two anchors at a desk. Not that there's anything wrong with that at all. But they decided, you know what, let's have it be one person. And my co-host was like a monitor. It was a giant monitor that I would turn to, and the monitor was so big that the person whose picture we were seeing was literally as physically large. Their image was as large as me, and I would turn around and talk to them as if I was talking to a person. And that was either Royal, who was usually out at an ice cream factory, or synchronized swimming. I did not remember that particular episode, or any of the Dan Davis. He was sometimes in studio and sometimes out, but that's what was unique about it, is that they were actually visionaries in the sense of really trying new things that most local stations were not really willing or ambitious enough, but they really had this sense of, you know what, let's just throw something at the wall and see what sticks. And it was so thrilling that I remember early on we went to a parade or something in Ahwatukee like shortly after the launch of the show, and we had no idea if viewers were going to like know who we were or anything. And people had banners that said "Good Morning Arizona," and they were like screaming at us, and it was just like, oh my gosh, this might work.
Yeah. Well, hey, by the way, Jodi, we're looking at a picture of you nowadays, and you look fantastic, first of all. But ironically, about the show, here's some more pictures of you. You look like a model. Ironically, we're still trying to recreate the fun we had back in those days. Here we are 25 years later.
And still having a fun time.
You know, people, I guess everyone romanticizes it, but I was young. I was like, it was my first real, like, grown-up job, quite frankly, in broadcasting, because I had been in a really small market before I came to Phoenix, and I was hired to do more of a conventional morning newscast. And then Royal and I did a Saturday morning show, and we goofed around so much that we were always like, are we going to get fired for this? Or we ended up getting kind of promoted. We're like, oh, they like what we're doing on Saturday morning so well that they ended up, I think that was part of the inspiration for what became Good Morning Arizona. But yeah, I think if we had been more knowledgeable about the business, we would have been afraid to try some of the stuff. But we were just kind of like, well, let's just give it a shot.
And here's a weird thing about
the appeal.
The Saturday show. I just got to say, the Saturday show, Jodi, remember it? Like basically, they decided to do it the night before because the Tempe town, it wasn't Tempe Town Lake, the Tempe Bridge had collapsed in a big flood, and there was big news. So they said, we're starting a morning show tomorrow. Jodi and Royal go do it. It was crazy.
I know.
Sometimes that's the best way to start things.
You know, Scott, I think it is because they didn't overthink it. They had a bunch of people in place, and all the producers. I mean, the producers worked months leading up to the launch of Good Morning Arizona. They didn't tell the talent because we tend to be blabbermouths.
Well, Jodi,
there were people in the trenches getting it ready to go.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, we got to run. Thank you so much for your time and continued success to you. You put us on the map.
Congratulations on the anniversary. Yes, I'm the answer to a trivia question. But it's my pleasure. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
See you.
That was great about her because she was always quick on her feet.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. We'll take a quick break here.